What's up, YouTube? What's up, Extreme Gains family? I'm Chuck. This is Extreme Gains. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today is Thursday, May 19th, 2022, and this is the AMC, GME, and SPY Algo Exposed daily update and preparation video for tomorrow, T.G.I.F.F. and beyond. As always, I hope you had a great day in the market today, and I hope you were able to make some extreme gains for yourselves. I'm going to go over all the regulars that I always go over, my snake algos for AMC, GME, and SPY, and some macro comparatives. So, with all of that said, let's dig in. Real quick, my scalp ideas that landed for some extreme gains today were as followed. SPY, 4 entries, 2 10%, a 40%, and a 50%. AMD, 120%. PLTR, 120%. NVIDIA, 100%. And Peloton, 65%. As I said at the beginning, I hope you were able to grab some extreme gains for yourselves. If you did and you want to share that, put it in the comments. Let me know what you did or how you did. That would be cool to see, since I didn't spend the day with y'all on live stream. That's maybe something we can get going here and share with each other moving forward in the update and prep videos. All right, looking on your screen, on your left is AMC 5-minute chart for today. On your right is SPY. These are both my micro intraday snake algos on both of them today. And as you can see, they both once again fulfilled their projection 100% throughout the entire day today. So check the box, another day in the books. We are 1 day away now from 4 weeks straight of consistent consecutive fulfillment in the live testing of this micro intraday snake algo method. And it's been absolutely unbelievable. Excuse me. So that's what they look like here today on both of them. Let's take a look at AMC. AMC finished today up 2.51%, currently up an additional 0.76 in after hours at 13.18. Now, without going into a whole bunch of details, because I want to get through this in less than 20 if I can, I'm just going to show you the snakes, and then we can discuss them tomorrow in the live stream tomorrow afternoon. So the snake I showed you last night, 2 different potential scenarios that I was looking at, and we're using this one here going into today, and then considering that potentially today would be a completion of fulfillment and diversion simultaneously from the previous snake, and it would present a clip from today to potentially use moving forward if it ends up not being the one that we have been using for the last 3 days. So the one that we have been using for the last 3 days is this one. And its placement that I talked to you last night about was there. Its projection going into today was this upside move, then back downside, then back upside. And this morning it invert mirrored this upside move, but then it got its bounce up to the top here, and it V-shaped just like the snake was showing. And you can see here what the short-term projection is from it moving into tomorrow. And then if I zoom out, if it were to continue to keep fulfilling and beyond. Then if I considered the previous snake in the extended pull like this, something similar to that, and the projection and fulfillment of it today completed, today's clip would be this. And there are 2 ways, this would be initial placement. There are 2 ways I can see potentially putting this next intra week on here. One of which would be laying it on right here on the day and on the point of completion and diversion in that V shape. And if I were to do that, right there is the projection from it in the immediate future right there, moving forward with the overlap and projection and fulfillment of today. It looks like short-term upside, and then you see the further out potential projection from it in that position if it were to continue to fulfill it in its entirety. Then the second placement would be to do a full 1 day overlap. As you can see, the movement here essentially does replicate that. So to slide that down in there like so. And once again, you have candle for candle projection and fulfillment of the overlap all of today. And then the indication for projection here moving forward is what it's doing right now. This short term upside move and a short upside move, followed by rejection right where it looks like it has been rejecting, and then downside from there moving forward into tomorrow. And then if I zoom out and beyond, if it were to continue to fulfill in that manner. So having them both on there, looking at what they could potentially be projecting moving forward and the difference between them. There's that position for that one. And then that position for that one. So that's what I'm looking at from those two. Those are the intra-week, and you saw the micro. I apologize, I forgot to go over the macro for AMC in last night's video. So we will get that now. The macro comparative for AMC that I have been using for a long time is the macro double-double from the macro descending wedge prior to the January 2021 run-up. I have been tracking this thing for a long time, ever since I started the channel, and the January 2021 run-up is shown here. Somebody asked me to show this on a video, so I will. If it were to get the run-up and continue to fulfill this, I wanted to see how high this went in this position with the previous projection and fulfillment from it as far back as I had it. And ironically, it goes to the exact all-time high once again that AMC was at when it ran up in May and June, literally to the cent, which I find kind of ironic. So that would be cool. So anyways, somebody wanted me to show that, so there it is. Where are we within that? We are right here. And I talked to you about this and in the video 2 nights ago about feeling like if we didn't make an upside move, quickly, that we would start getting out away from this, and we're starting to do that a little bit, which is why I also have some alternate scenarios that I've been looking at, because I'm always trying to stay out in front of things and prepare for everything, so I'm surprised by nothing. However, I talked about how the macro comparative, this one here, showed this consolidation above 1350, and there was a chance that it could consolidate between the 1250 and the 1350, which I have boxed in and blocked in here. That's exactly what we've been doing the last 3 days. So obviously for this to maintain its validity, I would love to see, and it needs to see, the move to the upside sooner than later if it were to continue to follow this. However, I have shown you an alternate bottom, and the alternate bottom is from the previous bottom that it put in over here. And it was brought to my attention by looking at GME, because GME appears to potentially be doing something very, very similar. So I brought that over. I have used this alternate bottom to project the inverted mirrorings coming down here, knowing that we were going to run in this essential straight line to the downside like this throughout this. So it has given a lot of insight and dead on projection and fulfillment. So once again, looking at this, there are a couple different ways as far as where exactly do you put it to look at it. But it does. This is where I said I didn't think I needed to compress or move the OG macro comparative down to emulate that consolidation between 1250 and 1350 instead of it being up on top like it is, because this alternate bottom shows exactly that. And this is exactly what we've been doing the last 3 days. So the good news is, when I look at this, that I consider is that we're still consolidating between 1250 and 1350. We have not broken to the downside, which is really, really, really good at this time. So, and if I am to take this and go from the first candle up to that boxed in consolidation area to the last candle that it breaks out of. And I place those, if I put the first one on the first one where we are at, obviously I would need to stretch that out a little bit. I know, I'm just showing you, which would extend this a little further, but I just want to show you that it leaves more time on the table here for this to potentially continue to consolidate before it makes a move to the upside. If I were to do it like that and look at it like that, obviously I can put this and look at the bottom more than anything and try to get the bottom somewhat lined up to where it makes sense. And obviously then the contour and movements like we see here moving out of that bottom. And that's what it looks like when I do that. So it's looking like any time, and it looks like maybe there's a potential that there could still be some time left to consolidate out here between the 12 and 13. So the levels I'm looking at, I said this in the previous videos, 1350, breach, break, hold, confirmation, continuation to upside, over 1350, downside breach to the downside. I'm looking at 1250 to the downside, and the macro descending reverse third pull from the previous macro box top, as it has previously acted as support and resistance throughout its pull. So I would be concerned if that were to happen and both of those levels were to break down to the downside. So if that were to happen and it were to break down to the downside, I had used the same bottom, this alternate bottom, in an alternate placement to show essentially what I think that this could potentially look like to some extent if it were to do something like that. And the way I see it is something similar to this. I think if it were to break down out of there and breach those levels to the downside, I think we'd be looking obviously at something like that, something like a breach, or I'm sorry, a rejection of the 1350, and then a breach of the 1250 and the macro descending reversal, and then downside from there. Excuse me again. So that's what I will be looking at and using if that happens to give me a little bit of guidance if the 1250 were to breach to the downside. That's everything I have for AMC. GME. The macro comparative for GME is from the previous bottom, and it's been in this giant double bottom potential scenario here that I've been talking about forever. You can literally go back to any video. I've had this double framed in here literally almost the entire time I've been on the channel as well. And that is what has been essentially fulfilling here potentially. So I used that previous bottom as a guide for movement here, coming out of this bottom or coming down into, and now potentially coming up out of this bottom. And I looked at it like this and have been. It did project the move up to that 35+% up, back down in, now back down up. I talked to you all last night and literally clipped it and showed you where there was this movement here. Instead of yesterday it fulfilling to the upside, they dropped it down out and it replicated this movement down here in a bottom instead of up here in a top. So I call those inverted mirrorings, and that's what happened down there. I talked about this potentially reconverging back with this down here and then making this move up like this candle here showed, and that is exactly what happened today. GME finished the day today up 8.43%. And we just shut down after hours. In after hours, GME was down 0.19%, trading at $99 even. So it did fulfill that candle to the upside. The upcoming projection from this macro comparative is consolidation and volatility. So whether that happens up here or whether it wants to drop itself back down here and do it where the candles are, I'm okay with either or. I'm more concerned with it just fulfilling that consolidation and then obviously to get to the next move to the upside to make some money. All right, that's the macro comparative for GME that I'm looking at. The snakes, there are two of them. One from the day of divergence, one from the day prior to, from this divergence back here. The day prior to is this one. And the position that I had put this in going into today was right here. And it gave projection and fulfillment to the upside here today. I put the line in for the previous resistance, and that's exactly what it ran up to, rejected off of. Now it is staying above that 98.50, which is also a previous level of support and resistance for GME. So it did breach that to the upside and rejected off of, what was it? Just the 102, 103, right off the 102. And back down on top of the 98.50, currently trading at $99. The projection moving forward from it is obviously downside in the short term. And then if you look at the movements moving forward a little further out, if it were to continue to fulfill in its entirety, you can see it there. Then the other one, sorry, the fan kicked on there. Then the other one here is the day of divergence, and I placed this one on here in this position last night, and the projection from it moving into today was this upside, and it fulfilled. The projection in the short term looks to be a short-term upside move back up to around that 102, a rejection off of that back down in to around the $88 area, then a bounce off of that before it starts with its heavy move and its bullish move to the upside in the longer term, if it were to continue fulfilling in its entirety in that placement. That's what I'm looking at with GME. Then SPY finished the day today down 0.61%, and in after hours up 0.28%, trading at 390.56 when the day closed out. The macro comparative that I'm looking at for SPY is the red. This is the macro comparative from the 08-09 correction and crash. I've had it on here literally since I've been on the channel. This is what I've called the extended version, and I have had it in this placement here and been tracking it every day on the channel. Where we are at in that is right here currently, and I talked previously about this and what I wanted to see from this in some way is this ascending level of support and this ascending level of consolidation carry out in somewhat of a replication of that. And it does not have to be candle for candle, as this has never been a candle for candle projection and fulfillment. It's just been a projected suggested path. Price action has breached that from the previous bottom. It is no longer have an ascending bottom here. However, if this were a fake down breakdown and get its ass back up in here and start consolidating, I would be okay with that. So therefore, that's the projection from that, and what it would need to fulfill that would need a heavy move back to the upside like it did last week when it made that move back to the upside to continue fulfilling that in that placement. Then there is the intra-week snake that I have on here that has been projecting and fulfilling now for almost 4 entire weeks, dead on. And the current fulfillment of it from the downside, like I talked about 2 days ago, and we got that literally over a 5% move to the downside, projected and fulfilled. And once again, not a single word was said anywhere on this channel or in the comments or anything about this fulfilling a 5% drop on SPY. It's literally been fulfilling for 4 weeks. The 2 previous snakes have been fulfilling one. The first one was 2.5. This one was 4 weeks, and now another 4 week. These things have been absolutely ridiculous on SPY, the intra week. So the projection and fulfillment from today is as you see it. What you can see here is a potential smaller little W getting put in here. The only place I see that in this is right here. So it is possible that that is what's fulfilling here potentially. And if it is, then the indication is continuation to downside for a projection moving into tomorrow. It looks like a little bit of downside followed by some consolidation here. Obviously, the generalized perspective of that moving forward is continuation to downside. But there's also a possibility that it has not achieved that move to the upside yet, like that candle is projecting, and that tomorrow it may receive that. So if it does, I would expect a short-term move to upside tomorrow, followed by then a pullback. Whether the pullback happens tomorrow or not, I don't know. But those are the 2 ways that I'll be looking at that, dependent upon what SPY does and what it gives for movements first thing in the morning, and hopefully I can identify that. And but either way, again, I scalp this, so I scalp it on smaller time frames. This is a 4-hour comparative for it, so this is more or less for me a zoomed out generalized perspective of macro movements to see what the overall 4-hour candle projection from it will be, because it has continuously, like I said, given fulfillment for the last 4 weeks. That's everything I have for the video. If you made it to the end of the video, I thank you very, very much. Do me a favor, do what you always do, and in the comments and liking the video. Like I said, if you made some gains and you want to share in the comments, that'd be cool to see how you all made out, if you made out. And quick reminder, I will be live here tomorrow. It'll be the last day I'm live, like I said, for the foreseeable future. I will be coming out here at 2 p.m. to live stream from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. like I have always done on Fridays for what we've called the Beer 30 weekly wind down, where we kick back, have a drink, wind down the last 2 hours of market open together, and close out the week. So I hope to see you all here from 2 to 4 p.m. tomorrow here and or on Twitch for that. Appreciate it. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Later.